Popular latest interview questions in 2024, which is a real-time interview questions, which is happened on today's interview. So, which is on October 9th, 2024. So, today, the real-time interview questions, what asked for 4 to 5 years experience guy. So, we are going to discuss those questions now. So, the first question, what interviewer asked, how does an Angular application start? So the Angular application, the startup process of an Angular application involves loading the main HTML file and bootstrapping the root module and component, initializing the component lifecycle like rendering the view and setting up the change detection and routing as necessary. We'll see step by step how this will work. So, step one, loading the application means when you navigate to an Angular application URL in the browser. So, when the browser you navigate to particular application URL, the browser sends a request to the server. So, which responds by serving the application files such as HTML, CSS, JavaScript. The main HTML file, usually index.html. So what index.html file? Okay, this file serves the entry point of the Angular application, which is index.html. So it includes references to the main JavaScript bundle, compiled Angular code, CSS styles, and other necessary resources. And step three, what will happen? Bootstrapping the application. So once the browser loads the JavaScript file, as we discussed in the earlier step, the Angular framework starts executing. So where it is located? It's located the root component specified at the HTML, which is app root, like this in the HTML document in the body tag, which is specified like app root. This way it is specified. And step four, Angular module. So Angular applications are modular. The root module, typically known as app module, is defined in app.module.ts. This module declares the root component and any other module or services needed. And step five, what will happen? This is going to initialize the component. Component initialization will happen in this Angular starts the component lifecycle for the root component, which is app component. This involves the creating an instance of the component and running its constructor, followed by a lifecycle hook such as ng on init. So next step six, which will rendering the component. So once component is initialized, the Angular compiles the template and renders its DOM, document object model. The view is generated based on the component's template and data bindings, respective data bindings will happen. So then change detection will happen. So Angular change detection mechanism continuously check for the changes if any changes is occurred in the component state. So when data changes, Angular automatically updates the view. So now routing, if applicable, if there is any routing has to be happen, if your application uses any Angular router, it initializes the route services. It checks the current URL and loads the appropriate component based on the route configuration. So this is how these are all the steps were included in the Angular application, how this starts and what are the steps will be involved till routing. So now, so the second question, what is the entry point of an Angular application? So this is in today's interview. This is the second question. What is the entry point of an Angular application? The entry point of an Angular application is the main.ts file. This file is, so when we create the application, we could able to see this main.ts. This file is responsible for bootstrapping the application by importing the root module, usually app module. So how it will import? Like this way, import app module from app module this way. So, and starting the app, Angular applications. What are the key components in main.ts? First section, as we discussed about imports. This imports the necessary Angular core functions to the root module. This is the step one, which will import. And second, the bootstrap, the platform browser dynamic function like this. It is called to bootstrap the application passing in the root module. So this function will get invoked. So then error handling. If any error occur during the bootstrapping process are caught and logged to the console. So now, uh, overall, how the flow will work. When the application loaded in the browser, the index.html is processed. The main JavaScript bundle is executed, which includes main.ts. And then the main.ts file initializes the application by bootstrapping the root module, which is app module, which sets up the rest of the applications. So, and this is the third question, which what are Angular component lifecycle hooks? Angular component lifecycle. So Angular provides lifecycle hooks that allow developers to tap into different stages of a component's existence. So these are the common hooks like ng on changes called when input properties change. Ng on init called after the component is initialized. Ng after view init, it is called after the component's view has been fully initialized. So then at end, it is going to call the ng on destroy. This is called before the component is destroyed. This is useful for the cleanup. These are the essential hooks managing tasks like data fetching, updating views, and releasing the resources to avoid any memory leakages.